Good day, gentlemen. Dirk here with the MGTOW solution. Today's topic, taking the off-ramp. At some point after becoming familiar with the concepts of MGTOW, most men reach a decision point. Do I adopt all this red pill stuff or stay in the mainstream? Looking at it logically, it's a no-brainer, but it's still a big decision. And it's not an easy one, because we've been conditioned to believe certain facts about what it means to be a man. In writing this chapter, I was pretty much just laying out what I see as the many benefits of MGTOW, or staying single, or whatever you want to call it. I can say without hesitation that my life has improved dramatically since I rejected marriage. Your mileage may vary. Chapter 8, Taking the Off-Ramp. Most of us hope to find some kind of meaning in life. This can take the form of careers, religion, philosophy, sports, hobbies, travel, parenthood, philanthropy, volunteerism, music. The list is endless. All of those things can flourish when not interfered with by some demanding female. Once free, you can pursue whatever's important to you. Our limiters are usually money, time, or both. Fortunately, you'll have more of both as a MGTOW, a lot more. You have, in fact, removed your biggest limiter, the one that demanded most of your time and your money. With those resources entirely under your control, you can create whatever lifestyle you want. I know that in my case, I do a lot better when a couple of standards are met in my life. First, I know that I need regular, steady-state cardio. This is actually more for my psychological health than my cardiovascular health. I'm simply in a better mood when I get the cardio done. Research backs this up, so if you're prone to stress, anxiety, or depression, try it. Second, I need at least a little adrenaline on a regular basis. I've been that way my entire life, starting when I got my first skateboard as a kid. It's just a part of my personality. I'm not very good at sitting still for extended periods, and I easily get bored. So I find things like skiing and mountain biking very rewarding. My outlook is much better when those two simple conditions are met. When they're not, I just don't feel right. So I pay attention to those things and make them a priority. It'll probably be something different for you, but whatever it is that keeps you healthy and happy, make it a priority. Everyone has different interests, and I believe it's important to pursue them. If you love fixing up cars, doing woodwork, or playing golf, then do those things. These are the very activities that tend to fall by the wayside when your life is entangled with a woman. But that's over. Now you can do whatever's meaningful for you. I don't consider any of these things to be mere hobbies intended only to pass the time. I have some friends that are absolutely driven to build and operate dirt bikes and dune buggies. They get fulfillment turning wrenches and making things work. Other friends go skydiving, while others live for fishing. These are the things that life is all about. They're all important, and they all fit nicely into the MGTOW lifestyle. Something else you'll gain by escaping the plantation is the ability to have friends. It's very common for a newly married man to find his friends drifting away. This happens mostly because the wife wants it that way, and the process usually begins immediately. Women, for some reason, seem to be threatened by a man having any kind of relationship outside of the one with her. So they monopolize your time, criticize your buddies, and try to mold you into a person whose life revolves entirely around her. Since you're not doing that, you can go out with the guys whenever it suits you. Go grab a beer, or climb mountains for that matter. No permission slip required. You don't have to wait to be let off your leash because you aren't on a leash. Of course, some of your friends still may be. All you can do is try. For example, I took a lot of my soldiers catamaran sailing this summer, and we had a blast. Not one of them was married. The guys with wives were invited, but apparently married men aren't allowed to go sailing. I suspect that as more men reject women in favor of freedom, we'll see a lot more of them out doing the things they love. The most important thing about it is that it's improving individual lives. But if things keep going the way they are, then we're likely to see some shifts in society. For example, golf club and gun sales will likely go up as jewelry and flower sales go down. There are already reports of many jewelry stores going out of business. Same for bridal shops. Hallmark, See's Candies, and expensive restaurants can all expect slumping sales on Valentine's Day. A lot of guys are talking about investing in cat food companies in anticipation of future demand by future cat ladies, and they're only half joking. Any product appealing to lonely women is probably going to do well. Chick flicks, romance novels, vibrators, and wine may become very lucrative commodities. Books on how to land a man, or better manipulate the one you already have, are already ubiquitous on Amazon. If you just read the product descriptions, you'll be aghast at some of the tactics proposed. It's straight up pathetic, as well as kind of scary. Be careful out there. We're likely to see fewer minivans and family sedans, and more trucks and Harleys on the road. In the area of finances, rather than a redistribution of wealth, we're seeing a reclaiming of wealth. We'll always have to give up some of it in the form of taxes, but I'll bet most men give up more to women than they do to the IRS. The former is optional, and we're exercising that option. The fact is, men do much better alone than women because we're more independent. We generally don't have the same need for validation that they do, and we don't suffer from the same level of insecurity and lack of confidence. Nor do we have an obsession with being needed, as is the case with cat ladies and all those chicks with little yapper dogs. I don't know of any men who were better off financially when they were married, even if it was a dual-income household. They may have appeared better off due to the material possessions, but those things were usually purchased on credit. When you have a $400,000 mortgage on your house, you don't own a house. You just have $400K of debt. Given the propensity of women towards materialism, many men are choosing to go in the opposite direction after they escape that trap and keep things simpler. Minimalism is an entire movement in its own right, and it seems to resonate with a lot of MGTOW. Rather than seeking status symbols and acquiring possessions we don't really need or even use, we prefer to live within our means, spending our money only on things that are actually important to us. And a lot of us choose to stay debt-free entirely. As men, we're encouraged to earn and spend more by nearly everyone. More income equals more tax revenue. Consumer spending is good for the economy, we are told. Therefore, it's incumbent upon us to earn and spend as much as we possibly can for the greater good. The ideal system is to have individual men financially supporting not only women, but also the state, which in turn can financially support others through entitlements, mostly women, ironically. Do you really want to support all of that? There's a direct relationship between time, money, and freedom. If you want to buy a big house and fancy cars, then you're going to have to spend more time working to pay for them. In the case of a mortgage, we're talking about 30 years. With your time committed to work to pay that mortgage, you have less freedom. By the time you realize the dream of having a paid-off mortgage, you're going to be way past your prime years. This is the deferred living plan, where you hope to someday enjoy the fruits of your labor. Meanwhile, you'll have less disposable income as well as less time. A big house with a big mortgage means higher costs across the board. Property taxes, utilities, property insurance, mortgage insurance, maintenance, repairs, homeowner fees. These all increase as the size and value of the property increase, and most of them continue after the mortgage is paid off. It turns out that most people only use a small fraction of their immense houses because they don't spend much time there doing anything other than cooking, sleeping, or watching TV. They're too busy working to keep up with all the bills associated with the house. If you keep your expenses low, then you don't have to work as much, so you gain more time and ultimately freedom. One of the best ways to do this is by controlling the costs associated with your residence. If you live in a small house or apartment, you'll save money while also gaining time, because you'll spend less of it on upkeep, cleaning, and maintenance. You may even be able to work less. In fact, many MGTOW have been able to not only avoid working second jobs or overtime, but to start working part-time by keeping expenses low. Society doesn't want you to do this. Banks make more money if you buy a big house, and utility companies would much prefer you pay a higher electric bill. About the only person who doesn't benefit financially from you living in a big house is you. This is the same society that puts you at a disadvantage in divorce court and insists that you register for the draft, among other things. Wouldn't it be nice to deprive this system of your income as much as possible while also improving your quality of life? That's exactly what you do when you reject materialism and move in the direction of minimalism. A lot of guys discover how little they really need after they get divorced. Chances are the ex got the house while the man started over from scratch. Eventually, as he recovered from the financial consequences of getting married, he realized that he'd rather hold on to his money than play the game of moving up and going back into debt. Most of us learned about living beyond our means when we were married, and see it for the bad decision that it is. We don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, barely getting by, mired in debt. We'd rather enjoy life now and make better financial decisions, like buying a house we can pay off in 10 years instead of 30. The solution is simple. Get rid of things that you don't use and then downsize. Most people aren't even aware of how much junk they have that they never even use. Things like boats in the yard that just sit there costing money, clothes that are never worn, etc. Everything you own takes space that you need to pay for, and it all takes some kind of maintenance, costing you time and money. When it comes to possessions, the only real question is, does it add real value to your life? If so, keep it. If not, get rid of it. Along with financial health, I would expect the physical health and fitness level of men to improve as a natural outcome of putting their lives first. Women will probably continue becoming obese. This is because you'll have more free time while women will have less. You'll have less stress while women will have more. After all, life is hard when you're a parasite without a host. And how do women tend to deal with stress? Food. I could be wrong on that last point. Women may realize that if they want to compete for a man, they'd better let go of the big, beautiful woman delusion and get fit. I don't think that's likely. The land whales will probably win out. They're like an invasive species. They're everywhere, and it just keeps getting worse. You know it's getting bad when Sports Illustrated puts out a swimsuit edition featuring fat chicks. Meanwhile, what about sex? All I can suggest on that topic is that if you do decide to have sex with women, be very careful. Don't trust her if she says she's on the pill. Always use and then flush the condom. Don't fuck drunk chicks, as this can lead to false rape charges. Stay away from single moms and anyone who seems desperate or emotionally unstable. I know that rules out a lot of women, but trust me, you need to be selective in order to minimize the threat. The truth is that the safest route is to go monk. Anything else will be a calculated risk. The decision is yours to make, but taking a risk management perspective would be prudent. As we've seen, women are very unpredictable, and they usually have ulterior motives beyond having sex with you. Proceed with an abundance of caution. I know what works for me, and that knowledge has provided me with a lot of freedom. My future plans include things that would be literally impossible if my life included a woman, which is just one of about 1,000 reasons why I don't have one, and I don't want one. If you're new to MGTOW, I'd encourage you to give this philosophy a shot. You will most likely see your life improve dramatically. And that wraps up Chapter 8, Taking the Off-Ramp. MGTOW really is a great way to go, partly because you don't have to tolerate all the anti-male rhetoric being thrown your way alone, but mostly because it affirms your right to reclaim your freedom. This is a completely foreign concept to most men, and old habits die hard. But the philosophy is simple. So simple it's easy to underestimate how powerful it is. I can't think of anything I've ever done that has had a bigger positive impact in my life than rejecting marriage and all of the bullshit that goes with it. There aren't many brotherhoods left outside of the military, but MGTOW is one of them. And speaking for me, I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.